The situation with the University of Pittsburgh, which is an Israeli institution in America, it's part of the occupation, provided dark entertainment throughout the 80s, 90s, and 21st century for a warfare council run by people like Roger Waters. The essence of the dark entertainment was an argument that I had with Mark Nordenberg, the chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh, regarding the philosophy of education that was proper to the university, known as Pitt. I contended that law had integrity, that it was a system of ethics, and that truth was arrived at through evidence. And he beckered that right off the map. He said that the whole point of law was to win in court. And it didn't matter if you were convicting the guilty knowingly, robbing the bank purposefully, or misleading the public full knowingly. Your objective was to win. And I was offended. I was surprised that it wasn't scandalized. But the majority of his attorneys and law students clucked with approval. They went on to do things like work with Robert Fripp on the AIDS attack, justify and laud Reagan for the Iran-Contra scam. They came up with slogans like "There's no such thing as objective reality, only what the jury believes." They violated the institutional code of conduct by spewing that they hated Arabs at the top of their lungs on the lunch wall. They had fraternity parties in which they exhibited piranhas in a fish tank. And the drunks would sit there gawking over the piranha's behavior when they were fed. This was the essence of Mark Nordenberg's tribe. And you can almost hear Seattle saying, "Sorry, Crary, but truth is irrelevant. It doesn't work that way." You've heard me say that they raped Evgeny over a virgin. They also murdered Alina Shaykat over Tupac Shakur. She was a white girl who had a similar name. Now, they had no reason to do it. It made no sense to anybody but them. Tupac was found out to have been killed by another black man. It doesn't make any sense, and it's pointless to try to make sense of it. But it's a war council that operates somewhat openly. The police are in on it because they want revenge. I exposed the Pittsburgh police for running a car theft ring, a juvenile trafficking abduction system that was tied to genocide pornography on Mount Desert Island, and they don't like me very much for doing that. And Seattle has helped them seal the deal by claiming that when Kathy DiPietro purposefully, consensually seduced me outside the East Liberty Free Clinic in her apartment there, that I penetrated her for the cameras and said, "Why are you doing this? Because of this." It therefore meant that I had maliciously and knowingly dagged someone who they had admittedly contracted as an attack prostitute, and yet, as meticulous as they were in brainwashing their hirelings to say whatever they were told to say, they never found anybody who was willing to corroborate the idea that I was aggressive in that way. So they made the whole thing up. And they said that it proves that virginity proves right because of their tangents. Like the fact that they murdered Alina Shayk proves that she was guilty in the murder of Tupac Shakur. It just proves it to them. You don't have to get an explanation. It proves it to them. They grunt and they tear the carpet with their jaws. And you think I'm making a race statement? Get a life. Most of these people are parochials from the Central Catholic community. Yeah, it's disturbing because they are disturbing. And if Mark Neuenberg wasn't a pervert from the Zionist weirdo quorum that occupy the University of Pittsburgh, everyone would agree with me. The essence of the code of conduct of the University of Pittsburgh should be the pursuit of truth, and our law enforcement should examine evidence for the purpose of establishing the truth. Nothing could be further in the world from their mandate. The letters clarified that I had been tortured, deafened purposefully. It's in cold blood by a gang that included one of the magistrates, Shelley Friedman. It's in cold blood. They come right out and brag of doing it. They talk about millions dying, millions deicide, she scribbled in the margins. These are people like Danielle, whatever her name is, the nut in killing Palestinians is leading settler rebellions. Gail Burstyn was one of these types. And, Danielle's cooties were scribbled all over these letters, and they make it an act of government. Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania, and his gang scribbled my name on one of their bombs. He goes around signing bombs that are dropped on tents of children and scribbles my name on it. And Mark Neuenberg says that that's the nature of reality, queer ball. So this war council is extremely damaged psychologically, and they have authority. People pay to hear them and to see them and to selfie with them. And we're told that these people who are deranged are somehow the wise men of our society. They're not the wise men of our society. They may be the most cunning and capable of deception in our society, but you get like Jimmy Dore, he says, oh, well, they don't have access to the truth. What makes you think they don't have access to the truth? What makes you think they don't know what they are doing? There's this Islamo dude who says the same thing. It's dissociative as a society because they don't have the grasp of the truth. What makes you think they don't know what they're doing? Yeah, it's absurd to think they don't know what they're doing. When Yoko Ono surrounded my name at Pitt News, the University of Pittsburgh was perfectly aware that rock stars were engaged in espionage for the purposes of high crime. When I reported one of their partners, John Schulman, for defrauding the post office, I was chased out of town. They were forced by the incessant, by the refusal to stop, by the banging on of the Zionist thieves, to finally arrest one of them after he'd secured an estimated $8 million in his heist. Just like they're starting to gobble about Nosferatu's extermination program, which I warned them was going to happen in 1994. They can't deny that. I put in print Revenge for Auschwitz. And who was compelling Seattle to go along with this, saying they were building momentum? Was Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono and the Jefferson Zionists were building momentum in 1994 for what was already identified as a revenge for Auschwitz. And the evidence establishes that fact. Then you get Jimmy Dore and this Islamo dude. No, that's not the case. They don't have access to the truth. They don't know what they're doing. They know absolutely perfectly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. So forget the Islamo dude and Jimmy Dore. They know exactly what they're doing. They spelled it out in cold blood. Every detail of Lenin's Houdini, every single detail, is written straight up in the script from 1974. Her likeness appears on a record in 1979. You tell me that the people who he was working with, he then let them kill him? He Houdini'd. There's no body. It's a trick. And then they get Jimmy Dore and this Islamo dude to say, oh, they don't know what they're doing. It's a land of confusion. It's not a land of confusion. It's a land of heartless, cold-blooded, premeditated malice.